How you all doing, guys? Brandon here. Welcome to the channel. It's been about a month since I've personally uploaded a video. Rob has been keeping on top of the schedules and content here on the channel. It's because I've been busy with a Kiddy, and not the game Kiddy Pixel, a real Kiddy that was born on the 2nd of January. So I've been very busy. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, but I'm incredibly grateful for the start of the next chapter of my life. And the game Kiddy Pixel came in at a good time, actually, because I was up and down feeding all night, and this is actually a really nice handheld for just pick up and play, and I can even play my Pokemon games with one hand, so it's a good time to review it. So I thought, why not? Let's upload a video, take my time with it, and it's a handheld that I actually do love. It has been over a year since I have reviewed a product from Game Kiddy, a company that certainly knows how to design handhelds, but at the same time they usually lack the ability to compete with other faster and more affordable devices on the market from larger manufacturers. This year they have decided to target a niche audience of handheld lovers that prefer portability and build quality over power. The Game Kiddy Pixel is their way of competing with the mini handheld market, and it's certainly turning some heads. And so it should, because in my opinion, this is Game Kiddy's best handheld yet. The Game Kiddy Pixel is a miniature handheld that's slightly bigger than a Matchbox, wrapped in a beautifully crafted metal shell with a 2.4-inch IPS display with a resolution of 320 by 240, USB-C charging, 4 shoulder buttons, a headphone jack, and 1300 milliamps of battery. Internally, there's an Ingenic X1830 CPU, a 128 megabytes of RAM, which is nothing honestly to shout about, but it allows for silky smooth emulation up to and including PlayStation 1, which I will get onto shortly. For now, I want to focus on the design and the build quality. Half of the face is taken up by the very bright 2.4-inch IPS display. This display sits inside the shell nicely, which concaves in ever so slightly thanks to how the metal shell is designed. Game Kiddy has also kept the bezels to a minimum to give it the modern high-tech look that it's so obviously trying to go for. The only issue I have with this screen is that some of the viewing angles can be quite poor, but it's not enough to ruin the display. And the worst viewing angle is when it's tilted forward as if you're looking down on it. So you're not really going to do that when playing. There's also some minor branding around the bezel, which I like. It reminds me of the classic Game Boys from back in the day. Below that you will find your chunky buttons, and I was actually impressed with how high quality the D-pad was on here, as their last few D-pads were nothing special. This D-pad sits high out of the shell, has nice directional travel to it, and has a clicky response when pressed. Some of you may not like how much the D-pad and the action buttons make noise, but for me it's not much of an issue, and I actually think it adds to the cuteness of the device. Listen for yourself. The action buttons are small and have probably too much flexibility to them. I can actually push some of the buttons directly to the side without pressing them, so I do wish these were as sturdy as the D-pad. However, these start and select buttons are much smaller, stiffer, and sit directly on the contacts. Now let's take a look at the sides. At the bottom you will find a USB-C port for charging, a on-brand speaker cutout, and a much welcomed headphone jack, something many other mini devices have neglected. Adding this gives it a very retro vibe, and I know some of you will be happy they have done so. On the right you will immediately see the very futuristic lights which indicate battery life and the charging percentage. They have designed this so well and it gives the handheld a unique look compared to other competitors. I do believe other competitors should take note here. It's one of the first affordable handhelds that has innovated on the LED lights, battery lights situation, which is pretty cool to see. Above that is the power on-off button and a menu button that you press when in game to access the emulator settings. Both work as they should, however to put the device to sleep you need to press and hold the power button instead of simply pressing it, or in some cases using the start button when on the home page. Up top you have your 4 shoulder buttons, all very iddy, and the R2, L2 buttons are close to impossible to press, even if I do rarely use them. The main shoulder buttons are nice, but again do have flexibility to them, so I wish these were a little bit stiffer, but honestly that's just a personal preference and they work and click nicely with no complaints. And finally, on the left side, you have two large volume buttons which work great alongside a SD card slot which has a thumb cutout, making it easy to access. Game Kiddy have even engraved some grips on the back, just like the original Game Boy DMG, to give it extra comfort, alongside sneaking in a stealthy lanyard slot if you'd like to add it to your keyrings. I would have liked to see some kind of rubber bits on the back here, maybe covering the entire engraving to stop it from sliding around on tables, because there's no denying that if it falls, the weight of the metal shell won't make it a small fall, that's for sure. All of this is accompanied by a very high quality shell which comes in red, blue, green and black colors. I am very impressed with how well Game Kiddy have designed this product in general. It looks really modern yet futuristic and keeps it unique in a time where there's just so many handhelds on the market that look very plain. You may be asking, Brandon, how does this little thing feel? As you'd expect, it's not the most comfortable to play on for anything over an hour or so. The screen is just too small for long gaming sessions and there's no sense of grip, but that's all obvious before you purchase it. The buttons are positioned nicely, the battery life lasts for up to 4 hours, the metal shell gives off a nice warmth after about 15 minutes or so, which, even though it probably shouldn't do, it's actually quite nice and cozy. I do have two negatives with the physical aspect of the device. Firstly, the speaker used is just not too good, and anything over about 70% volume gets a little tinny. Secondly, although the display is bright and crisp, it does have some small light bleeding around the edges, which can be seen when playing super dark games. It's not a major flaw, but handheld enthusiasts out there will likely spot it straight out of the box. When you turn on the Game Kiddy, you'll be introduced to the IUX user interface, one that is new to me, and unfortunately, like typical Game Kiddy products, the UI is locked, meaning it will be hard to load up community-made operating systems. That said, it is rumored that this will get the mini UI treatment like other mini handhelds on the market, which I will be very happy to see should it come to fruition, as it's a much cleaner and simpler UI, which I think will just match this handheld lovely. But fingers crossed that it will come to fruition. The designer has said that it's going to happen, so we just need to wait and see. There are themes to customize the UI on the Game Kiddy. For example, I'm using the Pixel DMG theme, which gives it a cute, nostalgic look, but that's as far as it really goes. It's a simple UI for sure, with only a handful of options to choose from. For example, your games are in one folder, your emulators in another, then File Manager, and finally your settings. This is easy for newcomers to understand, but will undoubtedly lack any kind of magic for those that have been collecting handhelds for some years. It will do, and in no way does it affect performance at all, but I would have liked to see a wide choice of customizations and an unlocked OS. Once you've selected your games, each emulator has a unique settings menu after you press your menu button on the side. Here you can tweak your aspect ratio, save and load your games, and even add in cheat codes on certain consoles too. Many of the emulators even have a speed up option assigned to one of the shoulder buttons, should you want to speed through some games or get impatient with the dialogue. The most this little processor can emulate is PlayStation 1 games, which is impressive for its size, and in all honesty, that's as far as you want to go on a 2.4-inch screen, otherwise text gets far too small on the larger consoles. PS1 performance is great. Larger games work well with perfect frame rates, no audio breaks, and the shoulder buttons are responsive enough to enjoy organically. Although I do enjoy playing my favorite PlayStation 1 games on here, the magic lies in the smaller consoles. For example, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, SNES, Mega Drive, and MAME. Here the small resolution screen doesn't really matter as much, and the low quality speaker can still perform well, giving players a pleasant gaming experience in the palm of your hand. When I play on this device, it does indeed feel incredibly premium thanks to the high quality metal shell that gives it an impeccable protection, but it also gives it weight, which many mini handhelds lack. This is a handheld that I feel confident will last for years to come. It's built incredibly well, and I'm impressed with how far Game Kiddy has come over the last couple of years. Yes, there's definitely areas that need work here. For example, the speaker quality, the small light bleeding in the screen, and opening up the OS to the community will help. But with this in mind, I still prefer it to the RG Nano, which is Anbernic's metal mini handheld, which I also enjoy. It's now my favorite mini handheld on the market, even if it's not perfect. I hope Game Kiddy can keep tweaking this device over the years, because what they've created is truly adorable and looks unique in an oversaturated market. I will mention that this sample was sent out by Keep Retro, a retailer that is now selling them and is up for pre-order. It's not from GameKitty themselves. I don't know exactly when they're actually going to put it online on their official store or AliExpress, but if you are impatient and don't mind paying like an extra 20 bucks, there is a Keep Retro pre-order link in the description box below, which will get it shipped this month. So I don't know, GameKitty hasn't informed us when this is actually going to officially launch on their site. It will be slightly cheaper over there, but it's up to you whether you want to snag this, because I do believe this may sell out. Like, I feel like this is going to be in high demand just because it's pretty good and pretty adorable. So it's up to you. I'll leave the links below, and when they do go live on GameKitty, I will also put that in the description box below. So there you have it. I have a baby to attend to with a very full nappy. I appreciate you all watching. I really, really do. We have a Patreon and a Discord now should you want to support us, because it is rough times in the gaming industry right now with all of the Google stuff going on. But we're still here creating content for you, and I do wish that you stick around and watch them, because we have a lot of cool stuff coming up this year. So there we have it, the GameKitty Pixel review, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.